Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM22 Career Mode, episode 87. And this is our signing special as we begin with sponsorship. We have maxed out, so we are going to get a $253,000 budget come next season from $207,000. That's a massive increase, nearly $500,000. Switching over to AlphaTauri. Let's see what happens. Do we stick with AlphaTauri for another year, or do we move on to somebody else? I've been kind of going 2 years per sponsor, so I would think the realistic thing is we should probably stick with them, but that doesn't mean we are going to. We could theoretically part ways. It looks like Babco, we could move to the Middle East as Bahrain with our... So here's the interesting thing about these two choices. Both of them are significantly better choices than AlphaTauri. We'll start with that. Let's get that cat out of the bag. AlphaTauri is nothing on what these two are offering. Okay, here's the two comparisons though. Bank of Cyprus, more money now, like plus 8,000 already in the coming season. More money to spend, straight up. Estimation max, this is where things vary, right? Why AlphaTauri has nothing on these two. We're talking about a max of 340 to 400. You get another 500 next year, another 500 or another 50 next year, 50 the year after, and you're at your max. And the whole reason why the whole AlphaTauri thing, right, was such a big deal is the increase of 50K. That's substantial. We're talking 50K on top of the 200 that we had. That's a 25% increase from what we had. That is a big chunk of change. Now, look at these two. Cyprus, 440 to 490. I mean, that's a full 100K to, it's a full 100K more max. So we'd probably be looking at, for one, we start with that 8,000 increase, but we're probably looking at, that valuation next year wouldn't be a 50K increase. That valuation next year is probably more like a 75K increase. We could be pushing 330, not next year, but the year after. That's massive. I mean, that is, we can afford to keep our guys, and we don't have to keep churning out world quality caliber riders and then see them go off and ride for somebody else and then do poorly there. It was like, come on, with us, we know what we could do with you. Babco though, okay, same finances as what we were expecting with AlphaTauri. 5.25 to 5.75 for the estimation max. That's supposed to take 3 to 4 years to get to your max. Say 3 years. Do the math. 300,000, 3 years. That's a 100K increase per season. That's oil money, and that's 100K worth of oil money from 250 to 350. If we already gave into AlphaTauri, I suppose Babco, we already sold our soul to the devil. We might as well sell another piece of that soul. Signing with Babco for next year. Next up for us, as we hit the 1st of August and enter the transfer period, it's sticky note time. It's time to get in and figure out the details. What do I have to work with? Now, I've done a lot of this work at the beginning of the season. Beginning of the dossier period is where I always begin this process. I don't just go into the dossier period blind and start picking guys at random. It's a well thought out process. We don't build this kind of squad on a whim, but that work continues and kind of takes its full calculation before I ever make my first approach for a rider. I need to know exactly to the dollar how much money I have to work with. I need to know exactly where my team is at August 1st, knowing that it's not going to change much by January 1st, but it definitely changed since last January 1st. We're a lot closer to the 2027 January 1st than we were to the beginning of the season when I built the squad for the year and calculated who was my rider for this scenario and that scenario, this race, that race. Things change. Riders develop throughout the season. We are up to 6 riders on the current roster anyway, the 2026 roster. We're up to 6 riders that are 5.5 stars. I mean, that is crazy. Index August 1st, we're now second. Our index is higher right now than it was last year at the end of the signing period. That's guys that are already signed up. That's guys that are already locked in. Let's go ahead and do the math, pull out a couple more sticky notes to go with what I already have, and get through this. First thing, safety. Are we safe, right? Just making sure that we still have World Tour status no matter what happens in the signing period. Lenny Martinez, Peters, Huggins, Piccioni. That's 4 5.5-star guys with multi-year contracts. 3 of those 4 still have 2 more years with us. Peters, Huggins, Piccioni. That's phenomenal. We got 3 5.5-star guys signed up for the next 2 seasons, locked down. If we were going to have 100,000 increase in our budget come next year, that's a major signing right there. That's a re-sign Martinez, no problem. And then still have money because, whatever other expiring contracts, which aren't much. We have 3 expiring 2027 contracts. That's it. That is all. So if we want to keep Bausch, no problem. Chergai, he's probably not going to be sticking around if that's next year. But this year, there's 2 guys at the top expiring. Vandenberg for Mark, Gonzalez. That's some of our best developing, best recruitment year, tough set of expiring contracts. There is something to be said about what's going out. And I just confirmed I have a dossier on all 6 expiring contracts, and I have all 6 at 100% interest level. So that's already a good start. We can approach each and every one of them if we want about returning next season. Staff salary is always something that's supposed to be calculated in, but we are at a stage that we have $2.25 million in reserve. We will have more at the turn of the year as well, so we'll be at least $2.5 million. And then on top of that, we have winnings, right, that we get throughout the season. I think we can offset any staff costs that we are going to have, meaning I'm finally ready to say we can commit 100% of our salary, especially if we're going to have a 100,000 increase come next year. I think we can get away with spending 100% of our available salary. Now, the funny thing is doing the math. We are spending on the existing contracts for next year $125,800 to $126K. What is our value for next year? $253. We're spending almost exactly 50% of our salary. The expiring contracts, there's a decent amount of cash in there. You're looking at 45K just from these guys, 50, 60K roughly on expiring contracts. Those 6 guys, it's a lot more than 60K to re-sign them. It would be virtually everything we've got and probably more. I don't think 125K is going to get us those guys. I don't think 125K is going to get us Krantz and Arrieta. The good news, the really, really good news, is that we have hit a team rank, profile, rating, level, whatever you want to call it, that in the dossiers, where before you had to be careful. You had to pick 8 guys and you signed 6 of them. You didn't have much flexibility. That's not a problem anymore. We have a huge dossier list, lots of guys. We get to kind of pick and choose. Like I said, all 6 of these have dossiers and they have 100% interest. And we have a long list of dossiers. And we have a long list of guys that are 0-point dossiers that have 100% interest already. We have flexibility. We have lots of choices. What that means is I can approach Krantz and Arrieta and Vandenberg, and I can approach all 6 of them and see what it's going to take to get a deal done, what it's going to take roughly dollar-wise to get a deal over the line and not have to go, oh darn, see, now I can't sign guys because I just spent all my dossier. We've got a massive list of choices. This is not something I'm used to. And with that extra 100,000 coming, potentially next season, maybe it's only 75K, but it's going to be much more than the 50,000 increase we've had this year. Almost 50K anyway. It was like 47,000. So here's the thing. I've got my exclude a nation. I check those boxes. We got those guys. Can't sign, anybody from France because we've already got Martinez. I've got those boxes to check. My oh my, I've got options. I have got options. Let's start with what's the likely thing. Let's see the expensive guys and draw the comparisons. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm eager to get in and see what these guys want. All right, here's what I still need to do. What I still need to do first. I need to break down the roster because needs are important. Okay? Needs are important. Here's the thing about the needs for the coming season. It would be fantastic. It would be phenomenal if I could literally just re-sign the 6 guys I have and carry the same roster into next year. Because we want a Grand Tour. We want a green jersey. We are getting stronger and stronger and stronger each and every month. There's still plenty of development in a lot of these guys, and it's a good roster. 1 mega problem with that. 2, missed opportunities. There's other riders out there, but 1 major problem. We don't have enough riders, and we're seeing it, right? These later months of the season, because of the lack of depth in the squad, that we have quality depth, but we don't have pure quantifiable depth, meaning we don't have enough riders, period. We need a few more domestique types to put into races because they're exhausted. A lot of these guys are suffering from pretty bad fitness levels right now because of really, really high fatigue because of too many days in the saddle. I mean, looking at the days raced, right? We're looking at 90 plus through July. That should be season done for this entire group. 80 plus 80 days. I mean, that should be your cutoff for the year, and we've got 2 more that are 3 days away from hitting 80. Okay, fine. We got Arrieta at 49 and Peters at 51 and Huggins at 55, but some of these guys, that's because they were out injured for a while. Krantz, we've helped keep down a little bit, 58, really hard to manage. I need 3 more riders. So I'm not signing 6 guys. I need to be signing, 9, 10, 11 riders this season. Some money needs to be set aside to sign some 4 development riders, 10K, or let's say more realistically 12K, right? They'll want maybe a little bit more than the 2,500, 3,000 each or something. I've got to set that aside, and maybe I need to start with that. Maybe I need to go in and sign my favorite 4 cheap domestique types so that I know that I'm going to get enough numbers. See, there is so much. It is so challenging, and that's what I love. And I think this is where I find success with this game. I find the diamonds in the rough, and I can play with a budget. Anyway, you want to see some signings, don't you? That's what you came here for this episode, didn't you? Didn't expect this conversation. I didn't expect this conversation. It just kind of happened. Post-it notes. I got some sticky notes to jot down some more info on. I need to break down my roster right now. I need to break down what I've got, find out what my needs are for those, say, 10. I think I'm going to target 10 signings for the year. First step was Peters and above are the guys that are signed up for next year, so ignoring the bottom half of my list here. Breaking that one down the same way that I would at the beginning of the season. Mountain ratings, punching ratings, time trial, cobble, sprint, those key attributes. Putting it shortly, all I did was I looked at, say, mountain rating and say I have 1, 2, 3 elite climbers, and then I have 1, 2 good support climbers. That's it for next year. Hills ratings, 1, 2, 3 elite, and then I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4 good punchers, 5 arguably. Just jotting down numbers. So I've got no elite time trialists, just 3 support, so I could use a good time trialer. Classics, I've got 1 good cobble rating and 3 not so good. A lot of our better classics guys have expiring contracts. Uh-oh. And then in the sprint, you've got one top sprinter and 3 good lead out guys. We definitely want another sprinter. Like, say, Vandenberg coming back would be fine, but we do want another sprinter. We do want another classics guy. I could definitely use a time trialist if they're on the affordable side, even if it's a development, high prospect kind of thing for down the road. Puncher, we're good. I mean, we got 7 punchers. Climbers, though, only 5. That is not enough to run a Grand Tour on. That's not enough to run 3 Grand Tours. That's 1 leader in Martinez. Piccioni, that's your secondary man. That's not your lead out man. That's not your strong man. That's not your Grand Tour leader. Need some reinforcements there. Krantz, obviously. Gonzalez, I'd be okay if we lost Arrieta, as we have plenty of punchers. If he's affordable, a 76 mountain with an 81 hills and 80 downhill and 77 stamina, I would happily keep him. He's one of the first that I'd say, hey, it's okay. For Mark, hey, it's okay if we lose those guys. And that's the thing. You've got to know what is your greater need. Looks like Vandenberg, Krantz, and Gonzalez are the greater need. Vasek, probably the first one gone. So therefore, the first signing and the first group of signings I'm going to go for is I've got to get some guys locked in. I've got to expand this roster. We need to get up to 10. So we're going to go for some cheap prospects. These guys need to be like 3,500, maybe 4,000 or less, because we don't want to eat up much of the budget, but I want to fill some slots. I want to expand the roster. I want to get us to, 10 signings. So I need to get 4 to 5 cheaper, affordable options, lock those down, and then see how much cash we have for the big signings, and then do the math with those on who makes the most amount of sense. First option that we are going to go for is the only one this year who is a 6-star prospect somewhere. Overall, 5.5-star prospect, but a 6-star prospect as a puncher. Now, even looking at that, though, we're not talking about like 85, but we're talking about like 83, maybe 82 hills. Better than Arrieta will be. Can be a replacement to Arrieta, can be, decent in a number of areas. He'll pick up a few more mountain points. I think this is your maybe eventual replacement for Arrieta, but definitely your short-term immediate replacement for Vasek or Vermark. And I'm guessing this guy is going to be making a lot less money than I would be to try to retain one of them. And the wonderful thing is 0 dossier points for this young Ryan Ray. Oh, he wants 7,000? Really? I mean, he is 4.5 stars already, I suppose, but that's more than I expected. I definitely expected under 5. I'm going to try 6, 7. Yeah, that's not quite enough. He's really not happy with cash. I had another option anyway in the UK. I'm not going to take somebody who's this bad right now. Future is decent, but not that great. I'm not going to overspend for this guy. This is not what I wanted to do with 125K. So he's out. He is out. So we are not going to be signing our first target. There's multiple ways to kind of check on what's ahead of you. Know this. There are 20 level ups per rider potential. So you can only level up 20 different times. And the evolution graph often does not function properly, but sometimes it does. And this is one of those cases where it does. We have a rider from Oman, Farsi. He leveled up immediately at the beginning, so that's 1 level up, 2 level ups. He's at a stage where he is, I think, 7 levels in. He's got plenty of potential still. The slowdown of level ups doesn't really begin until about level 10. You still go pretty fast. You can see, he's leveled up twice in the last calendar year. Or just over a calendar year. He's due another level up probably even before January, you would think, or in January. So he's going to get better. In general, he's 4 stars. It's all about sprint for him, though. I like to get riders that are more well-rounded than that, but getting a few specialists isn't bad. if we're talking minimum. So sprint is 74, acceleration 72, and he's got enough. You pour everything into the sprinter side of it. We'll see when that maxes out, and then you can focus on trying to strengthen him. Give him a little bit of climbing, give him a little bit of cobble to be more of a domestique supported type rider. For 2,500, I would take this guy. No points to talk to him. It looks like he might take the 2,500. So it's from a nation that's not going to hurt us because there's no competition. Pure domestique, can be a lead out train kind of guy, and with some development, we'll see. Will he take the minimum contract? Yeah, not quite. But that's typical, right? 3,000 is kind of your just about minimum at World Tour level to get somebody signed. I know I need a classics rider. This guy's actually decent already with a 75 cobble rating. I think that would put him in at number 2 on next year's roster immediately, and at 4 stars, and not looking to get a whole lot better, just a bit better cobble rating, which 78 cobble rating for us would be extremely welcome. No points to talk to him. Looks like we can sign him for virtually nothing, and we can. So there you go. That actually is a much better deal than the other one. Much more useful for us. It's finally time to make use of our U23 squad. George Guzman. Not good enough yet. I mean, he's only a 3-star guy, but 4.5 star overall. But 5-star time trial prospect. And, looking at it, actually a pretty decent classics prospect as well. So could turn in, something pretty good for us. And he's going to win some championships in Guam. And, of course, we have we started in Guam with Eurocycling trips. So, come on. Why not sign this guy? Again, looking for domestiques for now. Turkish rider Karaman. Not the same Karaman who was a superstar for us in PCM21, I think, right? GC winner for us. Did he win the Tour de France? Anyway, not the same spelling. Certainly not the first name, but we do have a Karaman here. 21-year-old GC kind of guy. I mean, he's well-rounded, but he's not a dominant force. He's never going to be the best. He doesn't have a ton of development still ahead of him, but he will get more well-rounded and be a decent support climber. I would imagine we can probably get about a 78 mountain. It looks like we can get about a 77 hills out of him. We should be able to get decent time trialing, so he could be a good team time trialist. Good enough in classics to hang in there and stick around. Good enough flat rating. I mean, this is a guy that you can use regularly as a domestique. Never a leader. He's not going to go out and get wins. I would imagine 4.5 stars. I would imagine he's probably going to want 6 to 7K. But if we can sign him for about that, that's a good addition affordably to your roster. Yeah, signed for 4,000. That's a good bargain. So that's 4 domestiques signed prospects for 12K. We got 115,000 left now. Now we want to sign 6 guys. Now I wouldn't mind signing the same 6 that I have, but I know that there's better than Vashek. I know that there's better than Vermark, and I'm guessing that Arietta is going to want way too much money, and so 3 out of those 6 guys I'd very much love to re-sign and have enough left over after re-signing those 3 to be able to go sign 3 replacements for those 3 guys. And my list is getting a little bit shorter now. What you've seen, the 4 I've signed are far from the only 4 that I've been looking at. First off, I think I might have a steal in another quality guy, Lithuanian. We're looking at 5.5 star, GC capability and all around, and minimal money. That's a oh hell yeah kind of offer. Strong all around candidate, but not somebody that I want to spend much money on. Burkina Faso, so we're talking about a nation where there's no competition. He's going to be winning everything. Decent all around, already a 79 time trial. But right now, he's only going to contribute to team time trials for now, but has plenty of potential in certain areas to be a good support rider. But there's your key, support rider. But for 3 points, we'll talk to him. But for 11.6 for a start, 98% interest, by the way, so only yellow. That's it. No, won't sign him. Also, Vashek is gone. I'm eliminating kind of the smaller choices before I figure out exactly how much money and how many slots I need to fill with the big time choices that I have. So Vashek is out. Shervchek is out. Otaro, we just looked at, is out. Rivera is out. We thought about bringing him back. Miskauskis, we just signed, right? Yes. So, other than Kossi, who is Slovenian, Jiraj, who is Slovenian, and then, of course, Krantz. I will be looking to sign one of those three, depending on the finances, of course, involved. We want Krantz. We would love to have Krantz back. Now, at the top of the list, you see Otaro is the only one who is not 100%. And then guys that I just late on July added in as possibilities, try to get them to 100%. See, maybe, what ifs. I doubt we're going anywhere with those guys, but we do have plenty of dossier points that I could just see what everybody. I have 4 small time riders still on my list that I'd like to go check out and see where that's going to put us. Another young prospect. I can't pass on the opportunity. Plus, we need some squad depth anyway. 10 was the minimum I was going for. This would put us at 6 already without even getting into any major signings as of yet. But South African Victor Kotze can climb in the future. Can already time trial decently. Major shortage for us. And would be, a puncher to definitely replace the 2 guys that are going to want a lot of money to come back. The Kevin Vermark, the Vashek. Vashek's already committed to being gone. So this would take care of potentially replacing Vermark as well, or at the very least Vashek. Just 3,000. That's a good deal. Here's going to be an interesting one to take a look at. Teraskin from Kazakhstan was a 4.5-star guy with a 0 dossier cost, meaning he would have been a cheap signing. He has leveled up, though, since looking at him in the dossiers period and till now. Now he's a 5-star guy who's a 5-star puncher with a little more potential there, who's a decent classics. What is it? 70. That's not that good. But time trialing. Where's he at? 72, 73 prologue. Mountain wise is a 73, but plenty of room for more points. Easily another 5 points there. Hills will push into the 80s. It's a good support climber, and hills wise, could even be a lead puncher. But how much more is he going to cost now? Because we're talking about 0 points. 13,000. Okay. Here's the first of my next phase. I'm going to write down their base asking price and go from there, knowing that a lot of them are going to ask for a little bit more and start comparing and contrasting what these options are. But he was also the last rider that I was looking at. So we've got 6 signed up on the cheap, prospect domestique deals for under 4K. Now we're going to start getting into the bigger contracts for 4 to 5 riders. We have 108,000 left to spend on that. So 13.2 is very affordable. So I've been going through the riders one by one to figure out what they want. And the first thing that is automatic is that Krantz is not coming back. 0 chance of it. Really, 0 chance. I mean, patience is ridiculously low. He's already not even happy with 124,000 in salary. We may be able to, get get him down a little bit, but I'm guessing he wants more. He wants more, not less than 124,000. Our entire budget for the coming year was 125. So his Grand Tour victory is going to carry him on to a huge payday and another team. Okay, time to move on. We do have Martinez coming back. Krantz is out, so we will not be re-signing him. I'm weighing my options for what to do for the other 4 or so slots, but this is going to simplify that process a little bit because he's not going to be eating up a vast majority of the money we do have because, yeah, we can't afford him. Realistically, I've got 4 slots that I want to fill, and I'm down to 11 candidates for those, and I've gotten at least the initial response from each of them. So now I have an idea on where we're at, what we can do. Ayuso and Ucha are interesting candidates. They don't have as high of interest, and I think I kind of want to start with them and see if it's even possible to get a reasonable sum out of them. If we can get a reasonable signing out of, it wouldn't be both, it would be one of them. Our money drops off drastically after that, but there's a fair bit left to get 3 of the lesser signings on of the remaining 11. So 1 top guy, 3 good support guys, 1 big team leader, plus 3, good support riders. That's a decent enough combination that I think I'd be comfortable doing that, especially when we're adding in 6 prospects / domestiques, but only if it's reasonable. So I think I'm going to start with those 2. After that, Arrieta becomes that next guy. Arrieta is the next one who is below both of them, wouldn't offer quite as much. Good strong puncher, I'd love to have him back. He's asking 51,000 up front. That also is a big chunk, but that would leave us quite a bit left to get 1 who's maybe in between plus 2 weaker guys. After you subtract those 3, I could pretty much have the pick of the litter. Actually, yeah, I could completely pick which 4 I want if I don't take those 3. If those 3 don't take something reasonable, anybody after that is an option. Now, the one that I've already excluded, besides Krantz, is Penhote. Penhote is asking more than Arrieta, less than the other 2, but as an 80-82 sprinter, sure, I'd love to have him. But Vandenberg, 79-79, barely worse, really good flat rating. We've already seen what he and Peters can do together. Vandenberg can get some wins. Penhote could get some more wins, but if he was at 100% interest, I'd be more inclined to try and negotiate with him, but he's asking for more than double what Vandenberg's asking for. Might as well just re-sign Vandenberg. I do need a sprinter, so Vandenberg is probably going to be one of the top ones on the list of trying to sign. But if we get Ayuso or Ucha, 0 chance of signing Vandenberg. Arrieta, slight chance to go after Vandenberg. For me, Ucha is a little more interesting of a prospect than Ayuso. Ayuso is a little bit stronger climber, but Ucha is really good all around. He can do so many things. So many things. 64K is what he's asking for. Obviously, we go for 3 years, and we try leader on the first offer. But I can't really afford to see this get shattered. So we're going to stay right at 64K and see what happens. Oh, he's not having it. He's totally not having it. When you combine in the interest, we would have to go up a lot. We'll try 70K, but that's final offer that we're going to be able to really budge with. So Ucha is out. Ayuso is another one who's fantastic. He's already in 80-81 in climbing areas, downhill 80. He's got incredible acceleration. I mean, this is a guy that can win a lot. Look at that crazy high end. I mean, this is somebody who's going to be like an 83 mountain kind of thing. But same sort of problem. He's already asking a lot and only mildly interested. So I have a feeling that not going to be able to negotiate. In fact, we're going to start lower. We'll try maybe 73 is the most I can really. No. So, all right. That takes the top of our list off, though. Arrieta is the top guy. He's looking for 51K up front. That's a lot more reasonable. And he's got high interest, so we might be able to get Arrieta re-signed. But do we want to? or do we want to take 4 solid options? I think what I want to do first is I want to pick maybe the first 2 most important, more affordable guys, and then see how much money's left. If there's enough money left for 1 Arrieta, is 3 guys enough? Is that combination enough? Or do I need to go sign 2 for less? So we'll start with the 2 most important options of my remaining. Option number 1 is a really strong all-around option in Morgado. Morgado, 5.5 star kind of guy, puncher, climber, stage racer, time trial, capable sprint. He's got a bit of everything. Okay, there you go. So Morgado is going to sign for 25.4 for us, for a 5-star guy who's still got plenty of room for growth, who's already quite talented. Signed up for a 3-year deal. 25.4 is a great deal for that one, and that is where we do our business. That's where we get our Kronzes and our Arrietas and our Martinezes, who come in ready to be a big time, just above, I think, what Peters is making this year. I also think that I just found a really good replacement for Arrieta in Morgado. Barely a drop off, 2 points in the hills, and he'll have it. He will absolutely have it before he is done leveling up. He'll have those 2 points, but he'll also have the things that Arrieta, he's already a very similar mold to Arrieta at half the price. I think I can take the 4 riders I want minus Arrieta versus have to really, really cut back and take some weaker riders. I can get the best 4 of the rest. And because we already have team leaders, we don't need to get a 5.5 star guy signed back on for absurd money. So our new Slovenian leader is going to be Jiraj, and we get him signed for 17.6. He didn't even ask for an increase, so we got to sign right away. All we had to improve was a leader. That's a big time signing, and quite affordable compared to what you're getting out of 5-star guys. This is a cobbled rider who's already a 79 cobble rating and has room for a couple more points. Now, it doesn't offer a ton more. I mean, this is more a survival guy. He's not a top sprinter, but he's a decent time trialist, so he can help us in a team time trial and really helps a weak area for this team, which was classics. And that may actually open things up for us, because now we're looking at 65,000 remaining in terms of budget, and I was looking for 2 more signings. I can either go after Vandenberg, which we do need a sprinter, and he's going to cost us 25 to 30, but maybe I can get 2 more and actually end up signing 11 and getting a couple of the lesser ones, or 2 good ones and have money left over for next year. Or we try to sign Arrieta. I decided to go after Vandenberg and actually offer him less, and he took it. So 25.6 for Vandenberg, 3 years, sprinter. He doesn't have a lot of growth left in him. He's at 27. He's only got a few levels left, but 5-star sprinter, lead out man. I mean, you've got to pay to play, and that's one area that we are not strong at and really can't afford to get weaker at. They'd cough up that money, but that means Arrieta is out. That's final. Down to 5 riders to look at. I've got 39k remaining, and I can sign 2. Not any 2, but I can sign 2 with 39 remaining. First decision, though, is Kevin Vermark is out. He's asking for the same money as Abner Gonzalez. I'd rather have Gonzalez returning than Vermark, as a support climber has more use for us than a support puncher. A support climber who's somewhat semi-punchy can climb at a pretty dang good pace, even on a punchy situation, where a good puncher or an okay puncher who's not a very good climber is going to struggle more often than the other way around. So Vermark is out. And who we're going to replace him with is actually the guy who's asking the least of the 4 remaining choices. Has a very similar profile to Kevin Vermark already, but a lot more potential remaining for the 22-year-old on the cheap. And then from there, I've got, who do I want of the other 3? 16.2 may not get us over the line. 17.2 I think definitely would. I'm debating with myself over spending an extra 1,000 on this guy. We can still afford the others. About 23 left. Hader this would push us to the limit on whether we can sign Hayter or not. Of the 4 riders that I'm looking at, the one that is most likely to get wins is Leo Hayter. He can support us in climbs, not the biggest, but he can support us in climbs. He can maybe support us at, La Vuelta, definitely not the Tour, but he can hit, like a 78, 79 cobble rating, potentially, turning him into a pretty solid classics guy because he's 80 flat. He's already got stamina and resistance, and while he's not a sprinter, he does have a little bit of acceleration to turn that into wins. I think to get him signed, to get us over the line, he's going to have to accept low money. He's not happy with important rider, fine with leader. It's not hard to keep these guys happy in those circumstances. We're going to try to offer him a little bit less and see what happens. We're not that far off. Offering him exactly what he asked, though, does not get us over the line, and I can only offer one more. I want to get him signed, but we've got to have money left to sign one of these other guys. Yeah, that's not going to do it. So we tried. He is not going to be our signing. So Taraskin, I think, needs to be the first. Lock him down. And concluding our deals, our 11th signing, Abner Gonzalez, coming back to the team for less than what he was asking at 17.8, which leaves me about 4,000 to 5,000 left for the budget for next year to sign staff. That's pretty good. Our target was 10, coming back with 11. No, we don't get Krantz. We don't get 85.5-star guys, but we're going to get a bunch of 5-star riders. I feel like this was maybe the biggest recruiting class I've ever had. Now, of course, losing Krantz hurts. Our GC rating is going to drop. Losing Arietta hurts. Our Hills rating is going to drop. You can see both are still quite high. We've got some prospect time trialing wise, to help us out. But you can see we're going to take a huge step forward with cobble rating. And that means, hopefully, as we grow and develop these pieces that we're adding in to replace what we're losing, I don't think we're going to have to lose as much going forward, right? If we're going to see 100,000 jump and only 3 expiring contracts, one, I think Lenny Martinez is somebody we can actually re-sign. We're finally going to be able to retain one next year. Bausch, if we want him back, we can re-sign him. Chergai, probably don't want him back. Next year, we're not going to be looking to sign anywhere near as many. That was the other problem, right? We just had to sign 11 guys, 6 or 7. We needed to sign 11. Half of that, anyway. Expensive signings. I mean, we've got 3 5-star guys signed. We got a couple 4.5-star guys signed. 4 proper domestiques. The rest are, ready to contribute. 7 out of 11 are ready to contribute next season. That's not easy to do. It's not easy to do on a budget. We made it work. I mean, we didn't have much more than 100,000 to play with and needed a lot of signings. Next year, we still want to grow, right? I don't want to just replace 3 guys. We want to sign probably 5. But if Martinez is the centerpiece of that, and we get him re-signed for like 80,000 plus the money that he's vacating, he's making 32,000. So that's 50,000. There's still 50,000 left to sign other guys. Bausch is making minimum, and he's a classics guy, and he's a punchy guy, and he's still got some potential in those areas. We might want to re-sign him, but why am I already looking at next year? I just can't stop myself. I can't help myself. I'm constantly scheming, planning. How do you get there? What do you do? What's it going to take? But we're going from an undermanned 18-rider team up to a 23-rider team, losing 2 key pieces, but replacing with numerous key pieces coming in their place. I think we're going to be just fine going forward. We've already got 4 5.5-star guys for next season, and again, only 2 expiring contracts out of anything in the upper quadrant of what we have, and really just a few domestiques. So it wasn't like we suddenly got significantly weaker. I'm pretty happy about the group we've got coming in for next year, and mostly very young, besides Vandenberg, meaning ton of development still available to most of the group. A few all around kind of guys that can just do it. Okay, well, that's going to do it for this special episode. I hope you liked it. In years past, there wasn't a big draw for this type of episode. This year, a lot of you really like it. So hopefully you liked this one, because this was the craziest one I've done yet. I'm Decathlon Gamer. See you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.